The doors opened with a sound that echoed through the huge room. Jack Morris walked inside with steady steps. His blue uniform was clean and pressed. Next to him, Lisa Grant held a tablet with papers they would never show. Both knew what was going to happen, but neither wanted to say it out loud. The room was massive and built to make visitors feel small. Hundreds of alien creatures sat in curved rows that went up to the ceiling. Some had scales on their skin. Others were covered in fur. A few looked like they were made of light. All of them turned to watch the two humans walk across the shiny floor. Jack had been in fights before. He fought pirates and enemy ships without fear. But this was different. This was about politics and words, and he did not understand these games well. That was why Lisa came with him. She knew how these aliens talked and what their words really meant. Humans of Earth. A loud voice filled the room. It came from High Chancellor Vorn, a tall creature with 4 arms and silver skin. You stand before the Galactic Council to answer questions. Lisa stepped forward. Her voice was calm. High Chancellor, we are here to talk about any worries the Council has about human colonies in the border areas. Worries? Another voice spoke. This one belonged to a Kryn, a species that looked sharp and angry. You call building armies in 40 star systems a worry? You call taking over empty worlds a worry? Jack felt his jaw get tight. Those worlds had nobody living there. No one wanted them until humans showed they could be made good for living. Now everyone suddenly cared about them. Lisa held up her tablet. If the Council looks at our papers, you will see that every colony we built was in empty space. We followed the rules we agreed to when we joined this group. Rules written before we knew what humans really were, the Kryn shot back. Aggressive. Always wanting more. Dangerous. The room filled with voices. Some agreed with the Kryn. Others seemed less sure. But Jack noticed something that made his blood feel cold. Even the ones defending humans did not sound like they believed their own words. They were just acting, playing parts in a show where the ending was already decided. High Chancellor Vorn raised one of his 4 hands. Everyone became quiet. The Council has looked at all the facts. We have talked about this for 3 cycles. The time for talking is over. Now we vote. Jack looked at Lisa. She looked back at him. He saw his own fear in her eyes. This was the moment that would decide humanity's future in space. The question is simple, Vorn said. Does humanity threaten peace in the galaxy? Those who think yes, vote now. Lights started appearing across the room. Red lights. Hundreds of them, like stars turning on in the dark. Jack counted them because he could not help it. Even though the numbers did not matter, there were too many red lights. Those who think humanity should stay in the Council, vote now. A few green lights appeared. Maybe 20 out of 400 species in the room. It was not even close. The vote is finished, Vorn announced. Humanity is removed from the Galactic Council. All agreements are cancelled. All trade is stopped. We will make a zone around human space. Any human ship found outside this zone will be treated as an enemy. Lisa's voice cut through the quiet. High Chancellor, we ask for the right to appeal. There are rules for this. There is no appeal, Vorn interrupted. This decision is final. You have 30 days to remove all humans from Council space. After that, any humans found outside your zone will be arrested or killed. Jack put his hand on Lisa's arm to stop her from talking more. There was no point. They had lost before they even walked into the room. This was just the formal part, making it official. They turned and walked to the exit. No one talked to them. No one looked at them. 400 species had just voted to kick humanity out, and none of them were brave enough to face what they had done. The trip back to Earth took 3 days. Jack spent most of it looking out the window at the stars. Out there somewhere, humanity had colonies and ships and millions of people who would soon learn they had been thrown out by the space community they worked so hard to join. Lisa worked all the time, writing reports for the president. She barely slept, drinking coffee to stay awake. On the last day, she finally sat next to Jack in the room with the big windows. They were scared of us, she said quietly. That is what this was really about. Not our colonies or our ships. They were scared that humans would change things. Maybe they were right to be scared, Jack said. When they got to Earth, President Helen Carter was waiting. She was a tall woman with gray hair and eyes that saw everything. She listened to their report in her office. Her face showed nothing. So we are out, she said when they finished. After everything we did, all the times we gave up what we wanted, all the rules we followed. They still kicked us out. Yes, Madam President, Lisa said. Helen stood and walked to the window. Outside, the lights of the city looked like stars on the ground. I have been talking to military advisors. Admiral George Hayes and General Linda Pierce have been making plans in case this happened. What kind of plans? Jack asked. Helen turned to look at them. The kind that say we are alone now. No friends, no help, no safety net. Just us against whatever the galaxy throws at us. That sounds dark, Madam President, Lisa said. Maybe. Or maybe it is just being realistic. Helen sat back at her desk. I am starting Project Ascendancy. We are going to build a fleet like nothing the galaxy has seen. We will make our colonies able to defend themselves, and we will show the Council that kicking humanity out was the biggest mistake they ever made. Jack felt something move in his chest. Not fear anymore, but something else. Something that felt like hope. What do you need from us? Jack, you are in charge of building new ships. Work with Admiral Hayes. Build me ships that can fight and win. Lisa, I need you to set up a spy network. I want to know everything that happens in Council space. Every vote, every decision, every whisper. You think they will attack us? Lisa asked. I think they are scared of us now, Helen said. And scared people do stupid things. We need to be ready. That night, Jack stood on his apartment balcony and looked up at the stars. They seemed different now, less friendly and more dangerous. Humanity reached for the stars and got slapped down. But humans were stubborn. They had been knocked down before and always got back up. The galaxy kicked Earth out thinking it would stop humans from growing stronger. Jack smiled, but not in a happy way. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Humanity did not need the Council's permission to do well. They just needed time and determination, and humans had plenty of both. 5 years changed everything. Jack Morris stood in the watching room of the Titan shipyards and saw workers crawling all over the frame of what would become humanity's biggest warship. He was an admiral now, promoted 3 times since the exile. The uniform felt heavier each time they added a new star to his collar. The ship being built in front of him was ugly. There was no nice way to say it. Galactic Council ships were beautiful things, all smooth curves and artistic shapes. This human dreadnought was just rectangular boxes bolted together, covered in armor plates and weapons. It looked like what it was, a machine made for war. She is beautiful, is she not? Paul Rogers floated up next to Jack. His magnetic boots clicked on the deck. The chief designer was a short man with messy hair and eyes that never stopped moving. He had designed every major warship in the new human fleet. She looks like a flying brick, Jack said. Exactly. Council ships are built to look good. Ours are built to win. Paul pulled up a hologram. Look at this. We can change her for any job in 48 hours. She has 3 backup systems for everything, so she can lose half her parts and still fight. And the weapons, he smiled big. The weapons will make the Council wish they never heard of humanity. Jack studied the hologram. The ship carried more firepower than some Council fleets. It could make its own fighters, carry soldiers for attacking planets, and work as a command center. It was everything humanity needed in one package. How many can we build? Jack asked. With what we have now, 1 every 6 months. But I am working on ways to make it faster. Give me 2 years and we will make 1 every 3 months. Jack nodded. It was not fast enough, but it was a start. The Council had hundreds of big ships. Humanity had to make up for having fewer ships by making them better and fighting smarter. His communicator made a sound. A message from Amy Bennett, the governor of New Hope Colony. Jack excused himself and found a private room to take the call. Amy's face appeared on the screen. Her red hair was pulled back in a simple style. Behind her, Jack could see construction machines and temporary buildings. Admiral Morris, good to see you. Governor Bennett. How are things on New Hope? Busy, we just finished our 5th expansion area. Population is up to 2 million and we make everything we need now. Food, water, air, manufactured goods. We do not need Earth for anything. That is the goal, Jack said. Every colony needs to be able to stand alone if something bad happens. Amy's face became serious. That is why I called. We have been exploring without permission. There are 7 empty star systems within 2 weeks of New Hope. All of them can support life with small changes. Exploring without permission is against Council law, Jack pointed out. We are not part of the Council anymore, and if we do not claim those systems, someone else will. Probably someone who does not like humans much. Jack thought about it. She was right. The zone the Council made around human space was meant to trap humanity. But it also meant any system inside that zone was free for taking. If humans did not expand, they would be stuck in a box while their enemies got stronger. Start planning your colony missions, Jack said. I will get approval from President Carter. But Amy, be careful. The Council is watching for any excuse to say we are the bad guys. Let them watch. We are not doing anything wrong. After the call ended, Jack went to a different part of the shipyards. This area was restricted. You needed special permission to enter. Inside, he found Lisa Grant studying big displays covered in data and star maps. Lisa had aged in the past 5 years. Her hair had gray at the sides, and there were lines around her eyes that had not been there before. Running humanity's spy network was hard work. Jack, she said hello without looking away from the displays. Come to check on your favorite spy? Just wanted an update. What is the Council doing? Lisa pointed to one of the maps. The short answer? They are falling apart. 3 small species have left the Council in the past year. Money problems, mostly. The Council's trade rules help the old powerful species. The newer members are getting squeezed out. That could help us. It could. I have been making contact with some of the unhappy species. Carefully through middle people. Some of them want to trade with us. They heard that human colonies are doing well and that we treat our partners fairly. Are we treating our partners fairly? Jack asked. Lisa finally turned to look at him. We are. Because we remember what it felt like to be on the outside. The Council is built on levels. Old species on top, new species on the bottom. We are building something different. Jack walked closer to the displays. One showed where Council military ships were moving. They are building more ships. They are. Especially the Kryn. They have made their fleet 3 times bigger in the past 3 years. Officially, it is for dealing with pirates in the outer systems. But pirates do not need dreadnoughts. They are getting ready for war. Maybe. Or maybe they are just scared. We have been quiet for 5 years. But they know we are building something. They can see our shipyards from their space. They know about the new colonies. They are wondering when we will make our move. Jack leaned against the console. What do you think? Will they attack us? I think it depends on who wins the argument inside their government. The Kryn want to hit us before we get too strong. Other species want to leave us alone and hope we stay in our corner of space. And a very few, think kicking us out was a mistake. Not enough to change the vote? No. But enough to make things messy if fighting starts. Jack left the intelligence center and went to his private rooms. It was late in the station's fake night, but sleep was hard to find these days. He kept thinking about what Lisa said. The Council was getting ready for war, but they were divided on whether to actually fight. That gave humanity time, but not much. His computer made a sound with a new message. It was from George Hayes, the admiral who had been teaching him since the exile. The message was short. Construction finished on Project Defiance. You need to see this. Jack grabbed his jacket and went to the central docking bay. When he got there, he stopped and stared. The ship floating in the bay was huge, bigger than anything humanity had built before. It was the dreadnought he had watched being built, now complete and ready. George floated nearby in a work pod. His old face had a huge smile. What do you think? I think the Council is going to panic when they see it. That is the idea. She is called the EAS Defiance, first of her kind. We already started building 3 more. Jack studied the ship. It was ugly and brutal and perfect. It showed everything humanity had become in 5 years of being alone. Determined, clever, dangerous. When can we start training crews? Jack asked. Already started? We have 2,000 people going through computer training right now. She will be fully ready in 3 months. Jack nodded slowly. 5 years ago, humanity had been kicked out of space society. The Council expected them to fade away alone and scared. Instead, humans had built shipyards and colonies and a fleet that could challenge any force in the galaxy. They had turned being kicked out into an opportunity. The Council wanted to trap us, Jack said quietly. They tried to put us in a box and keep us there. George brought his pod closer. And we are about to break the walls down. Ryan Bell had been a fighter pilot before the exile. Now he commanded the EAS Valiant, a fast attack ship that watched the edges of human space. Most days were boring, checking on colony supply lines and looking at strange sensor readings that usually turned out to be rocks. Today was different. Captain, we have multiple contacts entering the system, his sensor officer called out. Lieutenant Kate Stevens leaned over her station, fingers moving fast across the controls. 6 ships, medium size. They are sending Zelthian identification. Ryan moved to stand behind her, looking at the display. The Zelthians were part of the council, small and not very powerful. They made money by surveying star systems and selling information to other species. The question was, what were they doing in human space? Battle stations, Ryan ordered. But keep weapons off. Let us not start a war if we can avoid it. The bridge crew moved with practiced speed. Ryan had trained them hard over the past 3 years, and it showed. Within seconds, the Valiant was ready for combat, even though nothing about them suggested they wanted to fight. Open a channel, Ryan said. The main screen flickered to life, showing a Zelthian captain. The alien looked like a mix of a bird and a lizard, with feathers that changed color based on feelings. Right now they were moving between blue and green, which Ryan's information file said meant surprise. Human ship, the Zelthian said. You are operating outside your zone. We are here on official council business, surveying these systems. Ryan kept his voice calm. These systems are inside the zone the council made around human space. That makes them our territory. What is your business here, Captain? The Zelthian's feathers shifted to orange. That meant annoyed. The council made a zone to contain humanity, not to give you territory. These systems are still unclaimed and open for survey. I'm afraid we do not see it that way. Any system inside our zone belongs to us until the council says otherwise. And since we are not part of the council anymore, that means these systems are ours. This is not acceptable. We have rights given by— You have rights in council space, Ryan interrupted. This is not council space anymore. This is human space. You have 2 choices. Turn around and leave, or we can discuss this with our weapons. The Zelthian captain's feathers went bright red. That meant anger. The transmission cut off suddenly. Ryan watched as the 6 ships began moving, forming into what looked like an attack pattern. They are powering weapons, Kate reported. Interesting choice, Ryan said. Lock weapons on the lead ship. Fire a warning shot past them. The Valiant's main gun spoke once, sending a solid metal slug screaming past the lead Zelthian ship. It missed by less than 100 meters, close enough to make the point clear. The Zelthian ships kept coming. Their choice, Ryan muttered. All weapons fire freely. Hit their engines and weapons. I want them stopped, not destroyed. What happened next was less a battle and more a lesson. The Valiant had been built using 5 years of human new ideas in ship design and weapons. The Zelthian ships were using the same designs they had used for many years, bought from council shipyards and never upgraded. Human guns fired solid metal at very high speed. Zelthian energy shields made to stop laser weapons did almost nothing against metal projectiles. Within 3 minutes, 4 of the 6 Zelthian ships were floating dead in space, their engines and weapons destroyed. The other 2 were trying to run. Let them go, Ryan ordered. But target the disabled ships. I want boarding parties on each one. His second officer, Commander Ben Foster, looked surprised. Sir, we have never done boarding actions before. First time for everything. Get our Marines ready. We are taking one of those ships. I want to know what the council is really doing out here. 2 hours later, Ryan stood on the bridge of a captured Zelthian ship. The crew had given up without a fight once human Marines cut through their hull. Now they were locked in their own cargo bay while human technicians downloaded everything from the ship's computers. Kate was with him, reading reports on a tablet. Captain, you need to see this. Ryan took the tablet and looked through the information. What he saw made his blood feel cold. The Zelthians had not been here on a random survey mission. They had been specifically ordered to map human defenses, count ships, and find weak spots in the border. They are getting ready to attack, Kate said quietly. Maybe. Or maybe they are just being careful. Ryan kept reading. But look at this. The council approved this mission 3 months ago. They have been planning to violate our space for a while. What do we do with the prisoners? Ryan thought about it. Treat them well. Give them food and medical help if they need it. Then send them home with a message. Tell them that if the council wants to test human defenses again, we will be ready, and next time we might not be so gentle. The news of the fight spread quickly. Within days, every species in council space knew that humans had captured multiple council ships without taking any damage themselves. The reaction was mixed. Back on Earth, President Helen Carter met with her advisors. Admiral Jack Morris attended through hologram, his image flickering a bit from the distance. The Zelthians are demanding we return their ships and say we are sorry, General Linda Pierce reported. She was a solid woman with 30 years of military experience, and she looked disgusted. They are saying we attacked them without reason. We have sensor logs that show they powered weapons first, Jack pointed out. And they were in our space. The Council does not see it as our space, Helen said. To them, we are squatters who got lucky. Lisa Grant, sitting at the far end of the table, spoke up. My sources say the Council is divided on how to respond. The Kryn want immediate military action. They are calling us pirates and saying we need to be put down. Other species are urging caution. What about the Zelthians themselves? Helen asked, embarrassed. They sent 6 ships against 1 and got humiliated. Their military is demanding better equipment, but the Council does not want to fund an arms race. Helen leaned back in her chair. So we have proven we can defend ourselves. The question is, what do we do next? Jack's hologram leaned forward. We keep expanding. The Council is watching us now, but they are also afraid. Captain Bell's report included data from the captured ships. Their technology is many years behind ours. If they come at us, we can win. If they come at us as one big force, it will not matter how good our technology is, General Pierce argued. They have thousands of ships. We have dozens. Then we need to make sure they do not come at us as one force, Lisa said. The Council is already falling apart. We need to encourage that. Make friends where we can. Create problems where we cannot. Helen stood and walked to the window. Outside, the sun was setting over the capital. Somewhere up there, beyond the air and the moon and the outer planets, humanity's enemies were watching and planning. Here is what we are going to do, Helen said. We return the Zelthian ships, but we keep all the data we found. We send a message to the Council saying we do not want conflict, but we will defend our territory, and we make it clear that our territory is any system inside the zone they made. They will not accept that, General Pierce said. I know, but it puts the decision in their hands. If they attack, they are the bad guys. If they accept it, we just gained 100 systems without fighting. Jack's hologram smiled. And if they try to test our defenses again, then we do what Captain Bell did. We make it hurt. We make them regret testing us. And we make sure every species in the Council knows that humanity is not weak just because we are alone. The meeting ended and Helen stood alone in her office. Through the window, she could see the lights of the city coming on as darkness fell. 5 years ago, the Council had cast humanity out, thinking it would break them. Instead, it had made them into something stronger. The galaxy wanted humanity trapped. They wanted humans to stay small and scared and dependent, but humans had never been good at doing what they were told. They had been knocked down and had gotten back up fighting, and now the Council was learning that kicking Earth out had not solved their problem. It had only made it worse. 3 years changed the map of the galaxy. What had been empty space on Council charts now showed 52 human-controlled star systems, each one a bright point of activity and growth. Admiral Jack Morris stood on the bridge of his flagship, the EAS Retribution, and watched as another colony transport jumped away toward a new world. The Third Fleet was his command now. 23 warships from fast attack ships to heavy dreadnoughts. They watched over the expanding border of human space, and every few weeks they met Council scout ships testing the defenses. Each time the scouts ran away after a short exchange. The Council was learning to respect human territory. Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from Liberty Colony, his communications officer announced. Governor Marcus Taylor wants to speak with you. Jack nodded and moved to his private room. A moment later, Marcus's face appeared on the screen. He was a young man for a planetary governor. Barely 40, but he had turned Liberty into something special. Admiral Morris, good to see you, Marcus said with a tired smile. I wanted to give you a personal update on our progress. Go ahead, Governor. We have exceeded all production targets for the quarter. Our automated factories are running at 120% capacity. We are producing more goods than Earth in several categories, and we are doing it with half the population. Jack made a low whistle. That is impressive. How are you managing it? Androids mostly. We have 3 androids for every human on Liberty. They handle the dangerous work, the boring work, the work no one wants to do. It frees humans to focus on new ideas and management. Marcus stopped. It has also attracted attention. What kind of attention? The alien kind. We have had refugees showing up from Council space. Not many, maybe 100 so far. But they heard that Liberty is doing well and that we treat people fairly. They want to be part of what we are building. Jack leaned back in his chair. This was new. What species? mostly individuals from minor council members. A few Solari, some Taven, even a couple of Zelthians who were disgusted by what their government tried to do to us. They are not soldiers or spies, Admiral. They are families looking for a better life. What does President Carter say? She is leaving it up to individual colony governors. If we want to accept alien refugees, we can, so I am accepting them. They work hard, they follow our laws, and they are grateful for the opportunity. Plus, having aliens living peacefully in human space sends a message to the Council. Jack thought about it. Marcus was right. The Council had painted humanity as aggressive and dangerous. Having aliens choose to live among humans hurt that story. Keep me informed if the situation changes. And Marcus, make sure your security people check everyone carefully. I trust you, but I do not trust the Council not to slip spies in with the refugees. Already on it, Admiral. After the call ended, Jack returned to the bridge. His second officer, Captain Susan Lang, was studying the tactical display. She was a stern woman who had earned her position through skill and determination, and Jack trusted her judgment completely. "We have a problem," Susan said without introduction. "Intelligence just sent us an update. Lisa Grant's people have intercepted communications suggesting the Kryn are building a major fleet." Jack moved to stand beside her. "How major?" "At least 300 ships. Dreadnoughts, carriers, support vessels. It is the largest fleet they have put together in 50 years. That is more than they need for defense. That is what concerns us. The Kryn have been pushing for military action against humanity since the Exile. If they have finally convinced enough council members to support them..." Jack studied the display, thinking through what it meant. 300 ships against humanity's entire fleet of maybe 60 vessels. The numbers were not good, but numbers were not everything. Human ships were better. Human crews were better trained. And humans fought with a desperation that came from knowing they had nowhere to run. "Get me Lisa Grant," Jack ordered. The call took a few minutes to connect. When Lisa's face appeared on screen, she looked even more tired than the last time Jack had seen her. Running a spy network across half the galaxy was taking its toll. "I was expecting your call," Lisa said. "You have seen the reports about the Kryn fleet." "I have. What is your assessment?" "They are coming. Maybe not today or next month, but soon. The Kryn have convinced several council species that humanity is an existential threat. They are saying we are expanding too fast, that we are going to start taking council worlds if we are not stopped. That is ridiculous. We have never threatened council space. Does not matter. Fear does not need to be rational. The council is afraid of what we might become, so they are trying to eliminate us before we get too strong." Jack felt cold anger building in his chest. What about the species that do not want war? The ones who think the exile was wrong? They are trying. There is a delegation led by a Solari ambassador named Talcin, who has been pushing for diplomatic contact with us. He has arranged a meeting on a neutral station to discuss peaceful resolution. "And you think it is real?" Lisa hesitated. "I think Talcin is sincere. The problem is, there are groups on both sides who do not want peace. If someone sabotages the talks..." She did not need to finish the thought. Jack understood perfectly. A failed peace attempt would give the war group everything they needed to justify an attack. "Who is representing humanity at these talks?" Jack asked. "Karen Ross. She is one of our best diplomats, someone who actually believes we can find a peaceful solution." The meeting happened 2 weeks later. Jack did not attend, but he received regular updates from the security team assigned to protect the human delegation. For 3 days it seemed like progress was being made. The Solari were willing to recognize human territorial claims in exchange for a promise not to expand beyond the current borders. It was not everything, but it was a start. Then the station exploded. The bomb was sophisticated, placed near the main reactor, and timed to go off during a joint session. 73 people died instantly, including Talcin and 2 members of the human delegation. Karen Ross survived only because she had left the session early to take a call. The aftermath was chaos. The Kryn immediately blamed human extremists, saying the bombing proved humanity's violent nature. Other species demanded investigations, but the damage was done. The one real chance for peace had been destroyed, and both sides blamed each other. President Helen Carter called an emergency meeting of the cabinet. Jack attended in person, taking a fast ship from his flagship to Earth. When he arrived, the mood in the room was grim. "The Kryn are using the bombing as justification for military action," General Linda Pierce reported. "They have already started moving their fleet. Council security forces are being activated. We did not bomb that station, Helen said firmly. My intelligence people are certain of that. Does not matter what we know, Lisa said. It matters what the Council believes, and the Kryn have convinced them that we are responsible. Jack studied the star map on the wall. How long before they are ready to attack? 3 months, maybe 4, General Pierce answered. They are assembling at the Kryn home system. When they move, it will be with overwhelming force. Helen stood and walked to the window. She had aged since the exile, her hair now completely gray, her face lined with stress, but her eyes were still sharp and determined. Then we prepare to meet them. Jack, I want every ship we have ready for combat. Every colony fortified. Every advantage we can find, we use it. Madam President, a new voice spoke up. It was Senator Kevin Wright, leader of the peace group in Congress. Surely there is another option. We could offer concessions, agree to restrict our expansion. We tried peace, Helen interrupted. Someone bombed the peace talks. And even if we offer concessions, do you think the Kryn will stop? They have decided we are a threat. The only way to change their minds is to prove we are too dangerous to attack. Or too costly, Jack added. We cannot match their numbers, but we can make sure that attacking us costs them more than they are willing to pay. Helen nodded slowly. Exactly. We do not have to win a glorious victory. We just have to make them bleed enough that they decide leaving us alone is the better option. Jack looked around the room at the faces of humanity's leaders. Some looked afraid, others determined, but all of them understood what was coming. The galaxy had tried to contain humanity with exile. When that did not work, they tried diplomacy. And when that failed, they were going to try war. But humans had spent 8 years preparing for this moment. 8 years building ships and training crews and turning colonies into fortresses. The Council thought they were attacking a weak, isolated species. They were about to learn how wrong they were. There is one more thing, Lisa said quietly. I have been in contact with some of the species who opposed the war. If things go badly for the Council, some of them might be willing to break away. We could turn this invasion into an opportunity. To do what? Senator Wright asked. To build something better than the Council, Lisa replied. An alliance based on mutual respect instead of levels. Species choosing to work together instead of being forced. Helen considered it. One crisis at a time. First we survive the attack, then we can think about building alliances. The meeting ended with orders given and preparations begun. Jack. The Council fleet arrived at Last Stand system like a wave of metal and fire. 300 ships jumped in from hyperspace, their formations precise and practiced. They had done this before, overwhelming smaller forces with huge numbers and firepower. They expected this time to be no different. Admiral Jack Morris watched them appear on his tactical display, each red dot representing an enemy ship. Around him, the bridge crew of the ES Retribution worked in focused silence. They had trained for this moment for years. Now it was time to see if that training would be enough. All ships, stay in position, Jack ordered calmly. Let them come to us. The Third Fleet was positioned in a carefully prepared killing field. Humanity's 60 warships were spread throughout the system, using the massive asteroid belt and the debris from what looked like abandoned mining stations as cover. But those stations were not abandoned. They were armed with remote-controlled weapons and loaded with enough explosives to tear apart any ship that came too close. The Council fleet advanced with confidence. At their head was the Kryn flagship, a massive dreadnought called the Fist of Justice. Jack had studied everything his intelligence people could find about the ship and its commander, Admiral Thexnar. The Kryn officer was experienced and aggressive, which made him predictable. They are splitting their formation, Captain Susan Lang reported. 3 groups. They are trying to flank us. Just like the computer simulations predicted, Jack said. Wait for it. The Council ships moved deeper into the system, their sensors scanning for the human fleet. They found what they expected to find. Clusters of human vessels hiding behind asteroids, apparently trying to avoid direct fighting. The Council commanders sneered at human cowardice and pressed their advantage. Then the first of the abandoned stations exploded. The blast caught a Kryn destroyer completely by surprise, tearing through its shields and ripping open its hull. Before the other ships could react, more stations detonated, creating a chain of explosions that lit up the system like fireworks. The Council formation, so precise moments before, broke apart as captains tried to avoid the blasts. Now, Jack ordered. All ships attack. The human fleet came alive. Ships that had been hiding emerged from behind asteroids, their weapons already locked on confused council vessels. Human railguns fired, their solid projectiles punching through energy shields designed to stop lasers and particle beams. The council had never faced kinetic weapons on this scale, and their defenses were completely inadequate. Ryan Bell, now commanding the supercarrier ES Vindication, launched his strike craft. Hundreds of small, fast fighters poured out of the carrier's bays, swarming over council ships like angry insects. The council had fighters too, but they were designed for ship-to-ship combat. Human fighters were designed to exploit every weakness in enemy defenses, and their pilots flew with a recklessness that bordered on insanity. Council ships are breaking formation, Susan reported. Their command structure is falling apart. Jack watched the tactical display with satisfaction. The council had numbers, but they had relied on those numbers too much. They had forgotten how to fight an enemy that did not play by the rules. Human tactics, developed in years of isolation and desperation, were tearing their carefully planned attack apart. But the battle was not one-sided. Council ships were firing back now, their energy weapons finding targets among the human fleet. The destroyer EAS Courage took a direct hit to its reactor and exploded, taking 60 crew members with it. The cruiser ES Defender lost its engines and began drifting, defenseless against the enemy ships closing in. On Earth, President Helen Carter watched the battle unfold from the command center deep beneath the Capitol. Holographic displays showed the fight in real time, each friendly ship's destruction a painful reminder of what was at stake. Around her, military advisors and cabinet members watched in tense silence. "We are losing ships," General Linda Pierce said quietly, "but we are making them pay 3-to-1 for every vessel they destroy." Helen nodded. That was the plan. Humanity could not win by matching the council ship for ship. They had to make the cost so high that even victory would feel like defeat. But plans were cold comfort when people were dying. "Admiral Morris is requesting permission to launch the second wave," an aide reported. "Granted," Helen said without hesitation. Back at Last Stand, Jack gave the order he had been saving. "Captain Bell launched the second wave. All ships pull back to the outer belt." Ryan's carrier launched another swarm of fighters, but these were different. They were not attacking ships. They were heading for the larger pieces of debris floating throughout the system, debris that the council had dismissed as wreckage from the earlier explosions. Each piece of debris was actually a weapons platform, powered down and waiting. When the fighters activated them remotely, they came to life, adding their firepower to the battle. Suddenly, the council fleet found itself taking fire from all directions. Unable to tell which targets were real ships and which were automated platforms, Admiral Thexnar, watching his carefully planned attack dissolve into chaos, made a desperate decision. He ordered his flagship to charge directly at the ES Retribution, intending to ram the human command ship and kill their admiral. It was a move born of frustration and pride, exactly what Jack had been hoping for. "All power to engines," Jack ordered. "Get us out of here. And somebody wake up the Valiant." The Retribution's engines flared bright as the ship accelerated away from the charging Kryn dreadnought. Thexnar pursued, his focus entirely on the fleeing flagship. He did not notice that the Retribution was leading him away from his fleet. Did not realize until too late that the human ship's crew had already evacuated using escape pods. From behind one of the system's small moons, Ryan Bell's carrier and 3 other human warships emerged. They had been hiding there since the battle began, waiting for this exact moment. The ship Thexnar thought was the human flagship was just an empty shell controlled remotely. The real command vessel, a newly commissioned dreadnought called the EAS Revolution, opened fire from point-blank range. The Fist of Justice's shields collapsed under the sustained barrage. Its weapons went offline, then its engines. Within minutes, the pride of the Kryn fleet was a drifting hulk, its crew surrendering rather than dying for a lost cause. With their flagship captured and their formation destroyed, the Council fleet began to retreat. Some ships escaped, jumping back to hyperspace as soon as they could charge their drives. Others were too damaged or too far from safe jump points. They surrendered, their crews stunned at how quickly their advantage had evaporated. The Battle of Last Stand was over. Humanity had lost 18 ships and thousands of crew members. But the Council had lost over 100 vessels, including their flagship and most of their experienced commanders. More importantly, they had lost their confidence. In the weeks that followed, the political fallout was severe. Several council species questioned the wisdom of attacking humanity in the first place. The Zelthians, still embarrassed from their earlier defeat, withdrew from council military operations entirely. 3 minor species formally left the council, citing the disastrous war as evidence that the old powers were leading everyone toward destruction. Lisa Grant worked around the clock, reaching out to these dissatisfied species and others who were questioning their allegiance. She offered them something the council never had: a partnership of equals. The Alliance of Free Worlds was born from these conversations, a new organization based on mutual respect rather than hierarchy. President Helen Carter addressed the Alliance's founding session via hologram, her words broadcast across dozens of worlds. The Council tried to destroy us because they feared change. They wanted to keep the galaxy locked in the past, with the same species on top and everyone else struggling below. We are offering something different. A future where every species has an equal voice, where strength comes from cooperation rather than domination. 17 species signed the charter that day. The Solari joined first, honoring the memory of Ambassador Talson, who had died trying to make peace. Others followed, some quickly and others after long debates. The alliance would never be as large as the Council, but it did not need to be. It just needed to be better. A year after the battle, Jack stood in the observation deck of the new Alliance headquarters, a massive station built in neutral space between member territories. Through the windows, he could see ships from a dozen species docked alongside human vessels. Some were trading goods, others coordinating defense patrols, all of them working together. Thinking about the old days? Lisa Grant asked, joining him at the window. Thinking about how far we have come, Jack replied. 9 years ago, we were kicked out of the Council. They thought it would break us. Instead, we built something better. We did. But I keep wondering what would have happened if they had just let us stay. If they had treated us as equals instead of threats. Lisa shrugged. Then we would probably still be stuck at the bottom of their hierarchy, following rules we did not make and serving interests that were not ours. The exile freed us to become what we needed to be. On the colony world of Liberty, Governor Marcus Taylor stood with his human and alien advisors, reviewing construction plans for expansion projects. The refugees who had fled council space were now full citizens, contributing to the colonies.